The ACT is coming up, and in my opinion, the best way to prepare is to practice. So here are 5 practice problems to help you get ready for the ACT math section. So here's the first problem that we'll be doing. It says if 3y equals 4x plus 1, what does x equal? So we're not going to be able to determine exactly what number x is equal to, but we can solve for it in terms of y. So let's just try to get x by itself. Here we have a 4 in its way and a plus 1. And we need to get both of those onto the other side of the equation to get x by itself on its own. So I usually like to get rid of addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to get rid of the plus 1. And we have to do things to both sides of the equation. So I'm going to do the opposite of plus 1, which is minus 1 on both sides. So the plus 1 and minus 1 cancel out. On the right side, we just have 4x. And on the left side, we have 3y minus 1. Now, this has a letter and this doesn't, so we can't subtract these. They're not like terms. So we're just going to leave it as 3y minus 1. And now the only thing in x's way of being by itself is this 4. And whenever you have a number and a letter next to each other, that means multiplication. So I'm going to do the opposite of that, which is division, and divide both sides by 4. So the 4's cancel out. On the left side, or on the right side, we have x, and on the left side, we don't really have anything we can simplify. We have to divide the 4 out to both the 3y and the minus 1. But 3 over 4 can't be simplified, and 1 over 4 can't be simplified. So we're actually just going to leave this as 3y minus 1 over 4. And that's actually all we're able to do here. There's nothing to be simplified because we don't know what y is equal to. So our final answer is that x is equal to 3y minus 1 over 4. Okay, here's our second problem, and this one's kind of a word problem. There are a lot of these on the ACT. It says that a canoe is traveling at 12 miles per hour. What is its speed in feet per second? So to solve this one, to do some conversions, I think I'm going to write this as a fraction because that's what per means. It means like a fraction bar. This canoe is traveling at 12 miles for every 1 hour. Now for this problem, we need to do 2 different things. It wants feet per second. So we need to convert the miles into feet, and we need to convert the hour into seconds. And then we just need to see what we get. So 12 miles is how many feet? Well, you probably don't know that off the top of your head, but the problem gives us a hint. It says that 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. So to convert miles to feet, we just need to multiply 12 by 5,280. And when we do that, we're probably just going to get some giant number. Let's go ahead and see what that is. Okay, looks like we get 63,360. So that's cool and all, but we have to turn the hours into seconds now because it's not feet per hour, it's feet per second. So how many seconds are in an hour? Well, you might not know that off the top of your head, but we know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. So we can turn 1 hour into 60 minutes, and then every minute has 60 seconds. So we can multiply 60 times 60. And that's going to give us 3,600. So the canoe is traveling 63,360 feet in 3,600 seconds. But remember that the question is asking for feet per second, like every 1 second. So how do we simplify this down? Well, remember that fractions are just the same thing as division. So we can just divide 63,360 by 3,600. And that should give us 17.6 feet for every 1 second. If you want to think of this as like simplifying fractions, you can think of it as dividing both the top and the bottom by 3,600. And that forces the bottom of the fraction to just be 1 second, which is what we want. So rewriting our answer to be better, the final answer is that the canoe travels 17.6 feet per second. Okay, here's the third problem. It says that the first 5 terms of an arithmetic sequence are 13, 21, 29, 37, and 45. What is the 20th term? Now, whenever I see a sequence of numbers like this, the first thing I do is try to find the pattern. What is it about these numbers that makes them a sequence? And even if you don't know what an arithmetic sequence is, you can still try to figure it out. And you might notice that it adds 8 every time. 13 plus 8 is 21, plus 8 is 29, plus 8 is 37, plus 8 is 45. And even if you didn't know that, you could just do like 29 minus 21, for example, that would give you 8. and then just see if that works for every number. Now, what you could do for this problem is you could just write out the numbers and then just continue the sequence until you get to the 20th one. Like you could go 53, 61, and so on. But that would take a long time. And remember that on the ACT, your problems, you have to be doing them like a problem per minute. So there is a faster way to do this. If we were to do this manually, what are we doing? Well, we're doing addition repeatedly. We're repeatedly adding 8. And repeated addition is just the same thing as multiplication. So we're on the 5th term right here, and we want to get to the 20th term. Well, that's 15 more numbers that we have to write. And each time we're adding 8. So we have to add 8 15 times. Well, that's just the same thing as 8 times 15. That's the definition of multiplication. 8 times 15 is adding 8 15 times. So what is 8 times 15? Well, if you put that in your calculator, you'll get 120. So if we add 120 to 45, then we should get our 20th number. And if you put that in your calculator, you'll get 165. So just like that, we've determined that 165 is the 20th term. And in case you were curious, here is the entire sequence, and 165 is indeed the 20th term. So 165 is our final answer. That is the 20th term of the sequence. Okay, here's another word problem for us. It says that Jeff earned $20,000 in his first year at a job, and then each year he gets an equal raise. And eventually, in his 4th year, he earned $23,900. So whenever I see a question with a bunch of information, actually the first thing that I do is I look down at the last sentence. I know that seems like cheating, but it's just going to throw a bunch of words and stuff at us, and then it's going to ask us a question. The question is, in total, how much did Jeff earn in all 4 years? So that's what I'm looking at first. Now that I have in my head that we need to find the full 4-year amount, then I go back to the information and try to pull out what's important. So what's the total for all 4 years? Well, it's the total of the first year, second year, third year, and 4th year. And the problem gives us information for 2 of those years. It says that in the first year, Jeff made $20,000. So that's easy. We've already figured out the first year. And it says in his 4th year, he made $23,900. So, I mean, we already have 2 of the years, but we need to know what he made in the second and third years to add them together. Now, to solve this, we're going to have to do a little bit of big brain thinking, right? Because the one other piece of information it gives us is that he gets an equal raise each year. So from the first to the second year, he got some sort of raise. Second to third year, he got the same raise. And then from the third to the 4th year, he got the same raise again. So in total, he got 1, 2, 3 raises. So we can figure out from there based on how much money his salary increased by, we can figure out how much each raise was. So I don't know if you really need your calculator for this, but just because why not? 23,900 minus 20,000 is 3,900. So in total, the total raises was 3,900. But that raise came about over 3 different years, 3 different raises. So how do we figure out the amount for each raise? Well, we can just divide that by 3. And if we do that, we should get $1,300. So it looks like every year he got a $1,300 raise. So let's go ahead and see what the second and third year totals would be in that case. Well, after the first year, if he got a $1,300 raise, he would now have $21,300. And on the third year, if he gets another $1,300 raise, he would now be paid $22,600. And just to make sure it's a sanity check, we can check from the third to the 4th year. And indeed, if we add $1,300 again, we get $23,900. So this is how much he would have had to be paid getting an equal raise each year. So now remember that the question is asking what was he paid in total over the 4 years. So let's just go ahead and add these together. And when we do that, we get a total of $87,800. So that right there is our final answer. And if you just want to do another sanity check, it makes sense. You got about $20,000 each year, so about 80,000 makes sense. Okay, for this problem, we're going to need to use a little bit of geometry knowledge because it talks about a quadrilateral, which is just a fancy word for a 4-sided shape. Now, as always, we look down at the bottom of the question and it says, what is the value of x? So that's what we're looking for. So now that we know that, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the question and see what we can pull out. So it says that in this quadrilateral, 4-sided shape, two opposite angles, each measure 2x minus 1 degrees. So obviously we don't know how many degrees that is actually. We just know that there's an x in there. And then it says the other two angles each measure x plus 4, which is still not very helpful. So we have to somehow find the value of x. Now in these situations, I kind of like to diagram it out, but you don't necessarily have to do this for this problem, but just in case you want to, I'm just going to draw a random quadrilateral. Like, ooh, four-sided shape. Look at that. So it says that two opposite angles measure 2x minus 1. So that's going to be this one and this one. So you see how they're opposites? This is what opposite means. They're just like opposite of each other on the diagram. And then the other two angles are going to measure x plus 4. Now, personally, I don't think this is that helpful, but just in case you wanted to visualize it, well, this is what we need to do. We somehow need to turn this into an algebra equation because whenever it wants you to solve for x in a geometry problem, it usually means you can turn it into an algebra equation. I know that every single four-sided shape has 360 degrees total. And the rule is that it always has 180 degrees for every side minus 2. So like, for example, a triangle has 180 degrees total. Then a four-sided shape has 360 degrees total. Then a five-sided shape would have another 180, that's 540, and then so on. So this is an important rule to know that quadrilaterals, four-sided shapes always have 360 degrees. So if we were to add all four of these angles up, it would give us 360. So why don't we actually just write that as an algebra problem? So we can just add all four of these angles up, and we can just do x plus 4 plus x plus 4 plus 2x minus 1 plus 2x minus 1. And I'm running out of room here, but this is all going to equal 360. So now let's just go ahead and solve for x. So first of all, because these are all addition, these parentheses are actually kind of useless. So let's just add together all of the x's. So we have an x, then we have another x, that's 2x, plus another 2x, that's 4x, plus one more 2x, that's 6x. So 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2. So in total, that gives us 6x. And then finally, let's add up the numbers. So we have 4 plus 4 is 8, minus 1 is 7, minus 1 is 6. So 4 plus 4 is 8, minus 1 is 7, minus 1 is 6. So that's going to put a plus 6 at the end of this. So just like that, we've simplified all of these angles down into just 6x plus 6. And we know that this has to equal 360. So now we just need to solve for x. And remember that I like to get plus and minus out first. So to get rid of the plus 6, let's do the opposite of plus, which is minus, and subtract 6 from both sides. So these cancel out. On the left side, we just have 6x. And on the right, we have 360 minus 6. If you want, you can put that in your calculator. You'll get 354. And now finally, this is multiplication. So I'm going to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division, and divide both sides by 6. So these cancel out. And I'm running out of room here, but on the left, we just have x. And on the right, we have 354 divided by 6. And if you put that in your calculator, you should get 59. So just to double check the problem to make sure it didn't say find this angle, it does say we just need to solve for x, which means that our final answer is x is equal to 59. Now, these problems were pretty similar to what you would see on the ACT exam. But the ACT actually also provides official example problems, which can help you prepare for the test. So if you want to see me explain some official ACT practice problems, then this is the video you'll want to watch next. And as always, if you have any questions about this video, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and I'll be sure to answer your question. Thanks for watching, and good luck on the ACT.